But I met Shahar Rose, and the interesting thing was I met her probably like 5 or 6 years ago, but we just met in person about a month ago, but I feel like she's my best friend. You know, we have so much in common. I'm sure you have a lot of relationships like that too. Before we begin the program, I want to talk a little bit more about connections and relationships. And we are going to do some exercises, and there will be free gifts for people that speak up. So listen, I've got free gifts. I started my career about 25 years ago. I was in marketing and advertising and ended up at Virgin America back in 2008. I left in 2011. What happened for me was that job led me to a growing interest in technology. We were partnering with companies like Twitter, with Instagram, all sorts of local tech companies, and I started to realize that I was very, very passionate about the tech space. I ended up leaving. I became an accidental advisor, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But my main insight that happened to me at that time, because I was traveling nonstop, and I would always tell people, travel with your headphones off. Right? How many of you, when you fly, you have your headphones on? A lot of you, oh, be honest, I bet half of you do, right? You get in your seat, you have your book, you have your laptop, you're not making the connections. Well, I'm actually an introvert by nature, but I've learned how to be an extrovert. In my time at Virgin, with my headphones off, I started to recognize the power of connections, and that a lot of meeting people is being open, it's being present, it's making eye contact, right? It's being available for that relationship that could change your life. So I ended up writing a book. It's called Your Network is Your Net Worth. I interviewed about 200 people, including Dick Costello and a lot of female founders, all sorts of people. And what I found, and we're going to talk about that today, is that it is about relationships. There's been research that in the past, if you look historically, the car, the light bulb, all sorts of innovations were singly developed. Now, collaboration and teamwork is where success comes from, right? So what I want you guys to think about today before we start is the power of your network. And my belief, and this is what I wrote about, that networking, how many of you think of it as schmoozing and negative and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this? Be honest. Right there, right? Well, that's what I used to think. I would go to a cocktail party, and if I didn't know anyone, I would be overwhelmed by the thought of having to connect with people. The easiest way for me back then, and I learned that this was not the right way to do it, but back then it was have a cocktail, right? And then I'd be easier, have another cocktail, and then who knows what I'd be talking about, right? But what I've learned is if you are truly authentic, and if you're passionate, and you actually let people know what you're passionate about, what you care about, that's where the magic happens. And it can be women networking, it can be women and men. And first of all, thank you to the men that are here, because kudos, supporting women in entrepreneurial roles and founding roles. It's all about men, it's about women, it's about collaboration, it's about teamwork. So is your network teamwork? Yep. Is your network your net worth? I want you to think about it. We spend so much time, if you're like me at all, I'm a mom of a 12-year-old, I spend a lot of time thinking about, am I going to have enough money to retire? I go on those retirement calculators, I plug in all the numbers. Have you done that? You're like, am I going to be okay? I think our focus is sometimes off. We think so much about the money, and we're not thinking about the relationship. So today and tomorrow, I want you to invest in the relationships. I want you to recognize that your network is the fastest way to success. It's the fastest way to prosperity. It's the fastest way to happiness. There is research that documents and proves that if you have a strong network, you are more likely to get through transitional times and pivot points. You're likely to get through health situations, any type of disruption. Strong network helps you get through it. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories first, and I'm going to talk about both men and women in my presentation. And so, one man I want to talk about, one man, George John, he is the CEO of Rocket Fuel. They just IPO'd a couple months back. I was at a conference in 2008, very similar to this. It was a little bit smaller, actually. There were probably half as many people in the room. And he and his partner, Richard, were just starting their business. They were co-founders. They had an idea. They came up to me after the conference and they said, "We like your approach to branding. You like to keep it simple." I'm all about simple. I'm all about keeping things clean and easy. And they said, "Can you teach us about branding?" I'm like, "Well, I have a job. I'm at Virgin America." And they said, "Well, will you advise us?" Hence, they changed my life. I was an accidental advisor for rocket fuel. I interviewed George for the book. They now obviously are very successful. They have 3,000 employees. They're around the globe. His co-founder was his roommate. The people that started at his business were all people that he knew through his network. His investors, people in his network. On and on and on and on. His ecosystem was network-based. So as founders, or as people that are looking at tech companies, wanting to work at them, invest in them, think about these relationships. Emily, do any of you know Emily from Foodsy? She's a local entrepreneur. She moved here from Colorado. She knew she was very interested in the food space. Her story's very funny. When she was in college, she realized she liked food, and she thought, "I'm going to go work for a magazine. I'm going to write about food." I'm not kidding. She looks at the masthead for Cooking Light magazine, and the woman who was the main writer there, her name was Kathy Kitchen. And I was like, "Are you kidding me? Kathy Kitchen, writing for Cooking Light, right?" So Emily pitches her, "Can I come and work for you?" And she gets there because she's passionate about food, and she realizes she's a horrible writer. She's like, "I was the worst writer ever." So Emily ends up moving to San Francisco. She gets into one of the Techstar type programs. She developed a website called Foodsy, and it was basically a distribution portal where she was selling high-end premium products, a subscription-based box, a Foodsy box. And they just successfully exited after about 3 or 4 years and sold the company to Joyous. Now, again, passion-based networking. When I interviewed her, one of her dreams, now again, this is all about what our passion is. And so one of her dreams was to have a jam made by June Taylor on her website. She's like, "I love this jam. It is like the best jam ever." She's like, "She is the queen of jams, June Taylor." So Emily approaches June, and June's like, "I don't do any online sales." June Taylor sells her jams down at the Ferry Building. Have anybody been at the Ferry Building? Right? Delicious products. Emily keeps going to the Ferry Building. She buys the jam. She keeps talking to June, keeps talking to June. They end up on a panel. 3 or 4 years later, they become friends, and all of a sudden she's selling the jams. Small thing, but it was a big wish for Emily. I want you to realize success doesn't happen overnight. It's important not to leave before the miracle, right? Stick at it, and if you want something, go for it. Another thing that I believe in the past, networking really was about climbing a ladder, right? You're kind of pushing everyone down. And Shahar Rose, when she was talking about the give, now it's about who you are. It's about being the best that you can be. I think that women and men, a lot of times we are the ones that are holding ourselves back. I don't know if you're like me, but in my youth, and still even now, there are those moments where it's, I can't, I won't, I shouldn't. A lot of the reasons people don't succeed is because of their own thinking, or they're not following through, right? So identifying what are the barriers that are holding you back. Is there anything that's standing in your way to progress? I had the good fortune of working with Sir Richard Branson for 4 years. And I can tell you, when he meets with entrepreneurs and he meets with people, he'll say to them, "Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? What's holding you back? What's standing in your way?" So think about that today. We are now going to do a little bit of interactive time, and so hopefully there's going to be a couple of brave audience members. I have an exercise that I put in my book, and it's called the funnel test, and I have it up here. But what I've learned of 20 years of working with businesses, I've worked with everybody from Coach handbags, I've worked with Judith Lieber, a lot of fashion companies. People and companies that have succinct core values and succinct missions and visions are more successful, right? It is rumored, I don't know if it's true, but I've heard about it, that one of our large tech companies down in the valley, that the 3 words that they use to launch all of their products, you can guess, but I'm not saying the name because I'm not sure it's true, and I don't want to tweet it out. Porter Gale said company X uses these 3 words: beautiful, simple, useful. Beautiful, simple, useful. Their product, everything in their product, beautiful, simple, useful. It's a mantra for all of their communications. So what I found is when I interviewed people that had done their own introspection, where they had their own passions defined, either for themselves or their companies, when they could do this, 3 core passions, it's easier for them to connect because they can structure their network around this. So they can structure the events they're going after, right? Tonality, I'm going to give you an example of tonality if you're in advertising or marketing. And any marketers in the room? My soul sisters, yay, marketers. Tonality is a really important thing that sometimes we forget about. But now with our online and our offline brand, it's important to think about how are people perceiving us. Are they perceiving you as creative or inspirational, right? So tonality, I want you to think about that. It would be 1 word. And then your purpose, it's your elevator pitch, 15 words or less. When you're connecting with people, what are you going to say? What are they going to walk away with? Lucky for me, I have a friend in the audience who decided that she would help me out. This is Sumaya. Isn't that the cutest picture? I love that picture. I called her a couple days ago and I said, hey, will you help me? Will you do your funnel test? I don't want to put someone else on the spot. So she is a founder. I actually met her, maybe a 1.5 years ago, and it was because of our network. 2 people that I knew individually said, you know, you need to meet Sumaya. She has this great company. It's all about connecting in social media. Like, you 2 are going to like each other. So over the course of time, I've learned about her passions because I'm on her Facebook page. I know what's going on. We do tell a lot about our Facebook page. She's into fitness. She does a lot of bodybuilding. Love that. I think health and fitness is really important. She's also into salsa dancing, right? And she's a founder. She's very into her team. She's into technology. And so I called her and I said, will you be my guinea pig and tell me about your funnel test? So if you could give her a microphone, we're going to do 1 funnel test real quick. And I'm going to be calling on you guys, and whoever does the funnel test next gets a free book, and we're going to have time for 2 funnels. So your 3 core passions.
So I would say that, you guys hear me? I would say that my core passions, 1 is around entrepreneurship, but specifically around building technologies that connect you to the people you don't know but should. So that's 1 passion of mine that I've been building for the last, 8 years. That's something I've been doing. The other one is around health and fitness. For all of you that are entrepreneurs, you know that you can get really stuck in the weeds on building. So weightlifting, competitive salsa dancing are things that I've somehow fallen into.
And she's an amazing salsa dancer. I have seen the YouTube video. Yeah.
And then the other one is just creative outlets. So I'm a product founder. It's about ideas and inspiring the team and people around you. And some of my creative outlets include sketching and drawing and just kind of relaxing and knowing how to disconnect. So those are, I would say, my kind of 3 hobbies, passions.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Tonality. Tonality is a hard one. I try to be inspired both in terms of people I'm around and also my life. I want to be inspired on a daily basis. What do you think about your tonality?
That's a tough one. I would say for me, it's really about passion. I really love every moment of building a company, every moment of connecting with others, every moment of, taking to the next step, the next challenge, kind of pushing your boundaries. I just feel like without that passion, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today.
Great. Purpose, your elevator pitch, 15 words or less.
I think my purpose, and I mentioned this earlier, is connecting you to the people you don't know but should, and enjoying your time with the people around you.
Perfect. Yay! All right, there you go. So, what's amazing is when you start connecting with people and actually sharing a little bit about yourself, you can make stronger connections. And so I want you to think about this with your table, because I walked around and I talked to some of you, and I already was almost in tears with hearing about some of the amazing things that you've done and knowing that you've flown across the globe to get here. So share with each other. Who is brave and wants to share their funnel test? I hope I don't have to call on someone. I've got a free book. Anyone brave? Yay, right here in the front with the scarf on. Don't worry, no, you know what? This is the icebreaker. We're all trying to get to know each other.
Hello.
Yay, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Beverly.
Beverly. Great, yay, Beverly. If you want to turn around.
Yeah.
So 3 passions, and there's no right or wrong answer, and our funnel changes over time, right? Go ahead.
3 passions would be cycling, the cycling industry, and being active outside. And that's one. That's one passion. Sorry,
Perfect.
Is cycling. And I also love community and brick and mortar, so I'm really into not being online, but being offline. A third one. I don't know. I'm creative, so I do ceramics and artistic. I'm a marketer and a graphic designer.
Yay, great. And tonality?
I don't know what tonality means.
It's a hard one. And you know what? There are examples in the book, and there's going to be free books floating around. But tonality could be bold. Lady Gaga's bold. It could be inspiring. It could be creative. It could be insightful, intelligent. And I like people to think about tone, because what you're posting online and doing offline, how do you want the world to perceive you?
It seems too easy to say passionate about something, but I get on a soapbox a lot. But it's about the environment. I feel like our choices should be thinking in the long term, not the short term, so I'm super passionate about that.
And your purpose, and this can be either related to your business or kind of what you want to impact in the world.
I am trying to get people from online to offline. I am founding a company that is driving traffic into brick and mortars. So my goal is to reach you while you're online and send you to a store so you purchase at a local community small brick and mortar.
Yay, you get a free book. Woo! All right. It's okay. We have time for one more icebreaker, because soon we're going to have our amazing speaker from SpaceX, and so I don't want to cut into her time, because I know a lot of you told me specifically you're here to see Gwen. Over here in the corner, I'm going with everybody with scarves on today gets called on, so if you want to be called on, scarves, right here in the back. There will be a microphone coming over. I'll hand this over. If you can tell us your name.
Hi, my name's Yael Swerdlow, and I am a co-founder of a video game company and the Women's Empowerment Foundation.
Great, great.
So
and three passions.
3 passions are photojournalism, classical music, and making the world a better place. My 3 obsessions.
Love it. Tonality.
Tonality is, I'm really sweet.
Good, good, good. I had someone email me who had read the book, and he said, I try to be charming. I'm like, I already know who you are, right? Just one word, I could understand who he was. Purpose, elevator pitch.
Elevator pitch is every single thing I do is to make the world a better place. I'm a longtime photojournalist. I was in Rwanda, Somalia, and southern Sudan. I've seen the best and the worst that humanity can do to and for each other. And my goal is for everyone to be able to rise above their circumstances and realize that they're fully limitless and can do everything.
Wow, congratulations. Thank you so much. So that's just 3 of the amazing people that are here. You all have amazing stories to share, and so don't be shy. I have a belief that it's at events like this, don't overwhelm yourself where you think, oh, I need to meet everyone. I always am about getting maybe 4 or 5 deeper relationships and connections where you really connect, change a business card, see what you have in common. So don't get overwhelmed, just have fun today. So the funnel test is in the book. It's also online. Thank you, Sumaya, for the great photos. I'm going to start salsa dancing one of these days. It would be great. Connect with each other, because you could change somebody's life, and someone else here could change your life. So my closing thought on that, before I start talking about our amazing speaker, Gwen Shotwell, is I want you to think about the power of your relationships and all the great people that you're going to meet over the next 2 days. So moving on, Gwen Shotwell. I spent a lot of time Googling and researching, so I know a lot about you. Amazing story. She grew up in Chicago. I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Minnesota. And how many people here are from Chicago? Quite a few. Yay, you're getting away from the snow. But what I loved reading about her story. I watched some of her TEDx videos. And as a young girl, and if I get any of this wrong, correct me, she started to have an interest in cars and machines and thinking about how do cars work. I love that her mom ended up giving her a book. Her mom gave her a book on engines and fed that passion, helped her realize and think about how things worked. Then she took her to a panel. I believe it was at a university in Illinois, and at the panel, there was a female engineer who happened to be well-dressed, and the quote in one of her things said, and she had beautiful shoes on, and those beautiful shoes, that well-dressed, articulate engineer, became an inspiration for Gwen, and probably that moment could have changed the trajectory of her career. So she decided at that point that she wanted to get into engineering, started her career, started her studies. From there, she ended up graduating. She started looking at automotive first, and ultimately ended up moving into more technology based on kind of engineer aerospace. She now is at SpaceX. She is the number 2. She's the COO and president. I'm going to look at my notes in terms of the amount of revenue that they have right now, but I think they're over $6 billion. And she is running the show over there. She also gave a presentation recently that I found pretty compelling, and it was really looking at some facts about where we spend our time and our resources. She said in her presentation that people, the economy, we spend more on beer than we do on the future for our kids. That was shocking. So I want you guys to think about where you're putting your time and your energy, and I also want you to think about you as role models for the future. Because if we want to change those slides that Shaha Rose was showing and have more women founders, women in tech, we need to support our community.